The round of 16 draw for all the UEFA competitions has already happened, and we got some crazy matchups already. And in this video, we're going to be focusing on the Spanish teams specifically and give each one of them a grade for how difficult or how easy their potential path to the final is. So yes, this video is going to be about the Champions League, Europa League, and the Conference League. Before we get into it, guys, if you like Spanish football, make sure you subscribe for maybe the only, but certainly the best La Liga show in English here on YouTube. Drop the video a like, and please check us out on social media. Links in the description. I'll give the rundown here of all of the fixtures in the round of 16 involving the Spanish teams, starting in the Champions League. We have the Madrid derby, of course, unfortunately, however you want to look at it. Atletico versus Real Madrid. Barcelona will play Benfica. In the Europa League, Athletic Club will be taking on AS Roma. Real Sociedad play Manchester United. That's a good one. And in the Conference League, newly rejuvenated Real Betis will be playing Vitoria from Portugal. So, lads, let's go ahead and start with Barcelona, if that's okay. How are we going to rate the difficulty of their path to the final? Jose, why don't you go first? What do you have for us?
Man, this was interesting, right? I mean, first off, let me just put a disclaimer out there. Every culé period was happy with this draw. This was the ideal world, right? Not just the side of the bracket that we ended up on, but seeing a Madrid derby in the works at the same time. Also, again, just juicy with how crazy La Liga title races become. So again, these next couple of months are going to be very interesting. I gave this one a grade of 6 in terms of difficulty. I think it's fair. I think we did end up on the favorable side of the bracket. Benfica may end up being one of the tougher opponents we would have to see on this side anyway. 100%. Everybody remembers the game of the group stages in this tournament had to be Benfica against Barcelona. That insane comeback, the controversy at the end. We're going to get 2 legs of that now. I think that's going to be by far, in my opinion, up until the point of reaching the semifinal, going to be their toughest test. You look from there, right? Who do we get? The winner of Dortmund and Lille? Mm-hmm. Nothing against Dortmund, but I see Lille winning that, if I'm being frank. They've kind of just been a surprise team in a pretty positive way all the way around the Champions League this season. And then from there, right, you get probably, I'm going to go on a limb and say Leverkusen over Bayern, because I like what they've done recently, and Bayern to me looks so shaky. That Celtic matchup was so interesting to watch. Davies absolutely saved them. But Inter is the one that I expect just to make it the furthest throughout this side of the bracket. So some tough teams, don't get me wrong. I think flick ball will be interesting in this competition the remainder of the way through. I think it's fairly straightforward for Barca. They know what they have to do. They know what they have to do. They should go out there and do it now.
Michael, you had the strongest reaction. What do you have for Barcelona?
Damn right. It's a maximum 3. Are you kidding
bro,
me?
No, stop. This is Champions League, bro. This is Champions League. We're not talking about Conference League. This is Champions League.
If it's a 6 for Barca, it better be 10 for Atleti. It better be a 10 for Real Madrid. It better be a 10 for
It's higher than Barca. It's higher than Barca. Let's absolutely respect the teams that are in this competition. This is not the group stages. This is the knockout rounds.
Bro,
okay,
you're talking to a hipster merchant of football right here. I respect all the teams. I'll go watch Girona. I'll watch Lille football. I'll watch Dortmund football. But let's be honest here. It's a 3 maximum. You avoided PSG, who are probably one of the most informed teams right now in all of Europe. You avoided both La Liga teams in your side of the bracket. You have Leverkusen. Do they have UCL heritage? Okay, they made a final in the early 2000s when Zidane scored that crazy volley. You have Bayern Munich, who, let's be honest, are frauds this season in the Champions League. They're getting dunked on every time they go up against a top-tier team this season in the Champions League. Okay, you got Inter, who I think are probably the toughest opponent. But you get Dortmund or Lille in the quarterfinal. I'm sorry. Look, Lille have been very good in the Champions League. Recently, they've been kind of struggling with the injuries with Noje Groba. I expect Barca. They have an easy path to the semifinals. If you guys don't make it to the semifinals, bro, that is a disgrace in my opinion. So it is a minimum. Like, I just want to see what number you give to Atleti and Real Madrid, because it better be 9 or 10. Because if you're giving a 6 to this Barca team with the way they've been playing in the Champions League and La Liga, no, I'm sorry. It's too easy. Benfica, yeah, they're a tough opponent. They gave you probably the craziest game this season in all of football. But Benfica are also hot and cold team. They're not very good defensively, but probably just right now, I mean, the dude's turning into a Greek god with the way he's playing. So, yeah, I think it's a 3.
I think it's slightly disrespectful to the team that they're playing first and foremost, but sure. I mean, again, to me, the number itself is all subjective, respective to the teams that we're comparing them to today. So I agree with you. Both Madrids are ahead in terms of difficulty level. Not going to argue that whatsoever. But to say 3 in the knockout rounds of the most elite competition in club football, that in itself is pretty damn disrespectful.
Okay, would you rather play PSG then?
I would take PSG 1000%. Dembele until he
hold
doesn't. If he gets breast every round of the Champions League, sure.
Wait, bro.
Why not, right?
Okay, so
did not just say that, bro.
You would rather take PSG over?
I didn't say rather. I said, am I scared of PSG? No, wasn't scared of them last season. Not scared of them this season. Going into this draw, I did not see. Yeah, that's fine. Again, bro. Anybody who watched my content on Barcelona last season heard me say the same thing. Again, until PSG does something meaningful in this competition, not really scared of that team, especially without Mbappe. So I'm not.
Okay, let's keep it to France. If I altered the draw and I made it PSG versus Dortmund in the second round, meaning you would likely play them in the quarterfinals instead of Leo, would you keep your 3 out of 10? Or sorry, you didn't have a 3 out of 10. Would you keep your 6 out of 10, or would it go down?
If it was Dortmund and PSG in the next round, like winner of those two?
Yes.
No, I mean, in terms of comparing the
you said rather. So I'm just trying to see who would you rather have.
Look, bro. I'd rather have Lille in the next round. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not scared of any Ligue 1 teams. Last season, the Champions League, we were going to get the winner, right? Either Dortmund or PSG. We got PSG. Dortmund was coming up in the next round. We had the same exact setup last season and bottled it. So again, I just recognize how difficult it is at this stage of Europe's most elite competition. I get that. Look, we're trying to make content here, trying to, again, right, throw out some difficulty ratings that might get the clicks and the views. Look, 100%, Michael, I get it, bro. But at the same time, I've watched this competition long enough to see it at this round of the competition, Giants get knocked off. So I do respect what's in front of us, but it's not the most difficult path. And a 6 out of 10 is pretty accurate of that.
Okay, I kind of split the difference. I had a 5.
I had a 4.
I had a 5 out of 10. You had a 4? Okay, yeah. So we got 3, 4, 5. I mean,
if you average it out,
at least we're consistent.
Like 4.5. At
least we're consistent.
4.5.
I mean, look, the consensus is nobody's going 10, and the biggest reason for me is that Barcelona are heavy favorites until the semifinal. Like heavy favorites. The thing will be interesting if Leo beats Dortmund. I actually think Barca would rather play Dortmund. I think they're just such frauds. Bro, if Leo knocked out Barcelona after beating Atleti and Real Madrid in the group stage,
wow,
good Lord. I mean, it's like Charlemagne.
They've taken down 2 of the big 3 already. They've already taken down 2 of the big 3 in this competition. I'm just saying,
there's a difference between the one-off and the home and away.
Thank you.
That's fair. That's fair. Again, but there's still 2 one-offs. I guarantee you, if Lille found out they're playing Barcelona in the next round, what are they doing in Liga 1 to prepare for those matches? It is 2 one-off games, right? And one-off games this season, especially La Liga, we have seen Barcelona fumble. I'm not trying to undercut my team here and say that they're not as much of a favorite as they are. They are 100%. When they're playing at their height, Flickball is easily one of the heavy favorites to win this competition.
Outside of Liverpool, we've been saying this all along. Barcelona are heavy favorites to win the Champions League. So that, to me alone, looking at the bracket, by the way, Michael, on top of all the teams that you mentioned that they avoided, both EPL teams with Arsenal and Liverpool on the other side of the bracket,
and Aston Villa. They could have got Aston Villa
and Aston Villa as well. Yeah. So that, to me alone, it's to Jack's point, Jose. It solidifies the fact that Barcelona are the pinnacle right now. Everybody's looking at them like, don't fuck up, especially now with this path to the final. So that's why I gave them a 4. Maybe I could have gone a 5, sure, but it's not. A 6 seems a little too, well, we'll see what happens because it's Europe and I'm going to take my hands off of it. It's like, no, fucking own it, dude. Like, you guys have a much
6
easier.
6 out of 10 seems high. I mean, bro, it's not even a passing grade in school. What the fuck are we talking about? At the end of the day, bro, it's 6 out of 10. Bro, it's not, every other La Liga side that's in the Champions League has a more difficult path. I'm not disagreeing with that. You'll see that with every rating that I give moving forward. It's not a difficult. It's Barcelona has the easier path of the big 3, 1000%, right? But for one reason or another, we've seen Giants get knocked out, round of 16, quarterfinals every year. Okay, and again, you can talk to me all you want about, oh, it should be lower, this and that. Fine, make it lower. Again, it is the lowest of all my ratings.
Bro, speaking about Giants getting knocked off, dude, if Feyenoord somehow take out Inter for you
That
guys,
would be huge.
No shot.
and y'all don't make the final,
Inzaghi
flick
will
out.
never
That's
let
all
that
I'm
happen.
saying, bro.
They've been scored on one time the entire competition so far. Inter literally had the best defense in all of Europe, arguably, and they're on our side of the bracket. And we all know Barcelona struggles against what Inter offer, right? That mid block, that low block, at times they need it. They keep balls out of the back of the net. That is where we struggle. So again, right?
Okay.
More context.
We do have to accept the fact that they beat a pretty informed AC Milan. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming.
Informed.
Like, I would, as of the last like 7 or 8 games since
compared
what's
to
his name?
48 hours ago, sure.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like up until that game, though, even with the Santi and Joao Felix and the way that they've been playing, they won the Super Copa against Inter. Like they had that momentum on their side. So yeah, the red card probably like that's where the tide turned. But like I still thought that Milan should have won that match, or that at least that 2-legged affair. So yeah, I do agree with Inter having a pretty solid defense, but I also think Feyenoord with Van Persie now at the helm, new blood, saying fuck it, we lost Santi. Like that's just you never know.
I'll tell you this, guys. Feyenoord have a 10% chance of advancing. They have so many injuries.
I would say 10% might be generous. Again, again, experience too in this competition. Andre, you know how important that is. Why Real Madrid are literally favorites, regardless of their form every single year. It's super important, and they were just in the final 2 years ago.
But I'll say this: for Barca, you want to avoid Inter at all costs in that semifinal. They are a horrible matchup for this Barca team. So yeah, then it could be 5. If it's already guaranteed that we're going to see Inter and Barca in the semifinals,
bro, this is the path to the final. This is literally in the path to the final.
It's not guaranteed though. I said if it's guaranteed,
no, nothing's guaranteed.
Okay.
We're rating it based off the path, and that's part of the path. Let's not ignore Inter. Again, there are some very real obstacles here. That's all that I'm saying. And again, it's a 6, not an 8 out of 10. It's a 6. All right, if I'm a little bit high, fine.
Okay, that's fair. Let's take it to the Madrid teams. I kind of grouped them as one because the first matchup is against each other. But if you want to separate Atleti and Real Madrid, I went a 9 for Atletico and an 8.5 for Real Madrid. I think the top of the bracket is really effing tough. Not because it's like impossible to get there or everybody in the bottom half sucks. But mainly if I look at specifically the winner of Liverpool PSG, from the Atleti perspective at least, I don't think we can beat those teams right now over 2 legs. I think it's going to be really, really tough. Could we beat Aston Villa? Yes. Could we beat Club Brugge? Yes. Could we beat Arsenal? Yes. But Liverpool and PSG, those are like the 2 teams I'm most afraid of, more so than even the La Liga teams just because of familiarity. I think if Atleti win the Champions League and beat Barca in the final, it might be the greatest UCL run of all time.
Build a statue for Simeone.
That's immediately. Name the stadium after him.
Yeah,
that's what you got to do. Name the stadium. Yeah, I think I went 9 and 8 as well. Yeah, exactly.
I went also 9 and 8.
9 and 8. I think it's both teams wanted to avoid each other.
Yeah,
clearly they don't want to play Madrid derby in the round of 16. Also, the second leg, especially on that side of the bracket. Now, granted, look, PSV, very hot and cold team, still dangerous outfit, and then you got Arsenal, but Arsenal very good defensively, but they got nothing in attack. I mean, if you're going to play Merino as striker, barbecue chicken for everybody from Atleti and Real Madrid. Barbecue chicken. And now the problem would be the semifinal because it could be PSG, Liverpool, maybe Aston Villa. I mean, if somehow Club Brugge make it there, then that's just even more sensational. So I think this is a very difficult run for either of the Madrid teams, and they'll be definitely, if they make it to the final, they deserve it.
I agree.
Jose, what are your grades?
8 and 9. I will say, I mean, Real Madrid, I was tempted to put at 7, and the biggest reason why is something we talked about a lot on the show already. This team's attack is coming into form, and I'll say it again, bro. Everyone's gonna highlight Mbappe. I think Rodrigo is doing so much on the field right now. It's just piggybacking off my Rodrigo simping I was doing on the last episode for some reason. I really think, man, when you watch this guy play, even against, again, I know it's Girona, it is what it is in La Liga, not a good team. But when you just watch this man play, even without Jude behind those front 3, he seems to step in and just do what's needed so the rest of his team can thrive. And it looks scary. I think every attacker is benefiting from that play right now for Real Madrid. So, and again, of course, when Kylian Mbappe is scoring hat tricks in the Champions League, you got to watch out for that. He's hitting form at the exact time as a Madridista that you want this team and this attack to be pumping in goals. So, and again, they're the most experienced team in the world when it comes to this stage of the competition. So I almost put them at 7 because of all of those factors combined, and almost regardless of who's in front of them, you kind of just expect in one way or another for it to go Real Madrid's way. Jack, I'm sorry, bro. I think it's right now they're the heavy favorites from my perspective, but these are the two teams I wanted to play each other. They really are. These are the two teams I wanted for the La Liga race, and because again, it just gets one of the big 3 giants out of our way on a path to a final. And I'll be honest, as a Barca fan, I would rather play Real Madrid than Atletico, 1000%. If we were to if somehow the stars were to align and we got a Clásico final, right? Barca gets Real Madrid in the final, which it's such a shame we never got that. Messi versus Ronaldo in that era, that would have been insane. That would have been fireworks in every level, just box office. But if we were to get that now, right, I feel way more confident about that matchup than if we were to get Atletico and Simeone and the dark arts just coming into play. Sorloth shutting us up at the end like he did in that first game against you guys. So, but make no mistake, man, it's difficult for either side. Like there's a heavy weight every step of the way now moving forward on that side of the bracket.
I don't know if we want to take this into account, but have we seen Atleti's schedule end of March? Oh my God. If they go through this and they get past Real Madrid and they somehow make the Copa del Rey final and are still in the La Liga title race, hey man, Simeone's doing God's work because they have a hell of a schedule. Oh my God.
I would say Griezmann's doing God's work right now. I mean,
Yeah,
watching him play, this guy, bro, he's coming to Major League Soccer pretty soon. I got a feeling, and I can't wait, bro. I can't wait. I mean, watching him ball, man. Again, I know it was Valencia this past weekend. We'll talk about that and whatnot. But in the Champions League and everything, he just seems to be aging like fine wine right now. And I think that it's going to be even more evident in that Madrid derby matchup.
I think we talked about this in another episode where it's insane how much Atleti could do this season and still walk away with nothing, right? Like you could beat Real Madrid, a Madrid derby in the Champions League. You could maybe even beat, I guess it would be Arsenal next round. I would pick us in that matchup. And then, you could potentially even beat a Liverpool, and then you still effing lose in the final. Or, you take out Barcelona in the Copa del Rey semifinals, and then you effing lose in the final, and you do all this stuff at the same time, and then Barcelona wins the league or whatever it is. And it's just like, oh my God, bro. From the Atleti side, we have to be fucking perfect pretty much to stay in all of these. One mistake, and we're screwed. It's very interesting that because of the draw, we have a top 3 team in La Liga guaranteed to exit in the round of 16, which means a lot, I feel like, for how the season will be looked back on by either Real Madrid fans or Atleti fans, because that's not a success. I don't care that the teams are playing each other. Whoever loses, everyone's going to be like, yo, we failed. Like, we flopped in this UCL campaign. You can't go out in the round of 16 if you're these clubs. So, yeah, it's time to become men right now for Atletico.
That's going to box office matchup. I can't wait.
Especially for Real Madrid. Imagine us beating City and the glazing that we're getting, and all of a sudden we just get Simeone and we're out. Like, the fuck does it matter if you beat Pep?
You're going to hit so hard.
It's not going to happen.
That Liga episode is going to hit like crap.
It's not going to happen, bud.
I'll tell you what, though, man, it'd be. I mean, again, I'm just sitting here just salivating as a Barca fan. But like, imagine again if it's not going to happen. But if it were, the timeline would blow up in the best way possible. And who knows what that does, I think, mentally for the La Liga title race, right? In some ways, you could look at it as one of the big 3 no longer have to worry about this competition in the closing stages of the regular season. But then you better not bottle it. It feels like failure. Yeah, and then you're just bottlers the whole way through, and maybe that creeps in. Yeah. I don't know, man. And I think Atleti has something to shake off, right, in this competition, unfinished business, if you will, against their biggest rivals. And Barca have a lot to prove after the down years we've had recently, the last 3, 4, 5 seasons. And so, I mean, Real Madrid are defending champions. They have pressure in their own right. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah, my blood pressure is going to be through the roof for the next 6 weeks. It's going to be absolutely incredible.
The sodium.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's not making it any better.
I was going to
say. Which is a daily occurrence
Good luck
here
with that.
In Argentina. Let's take it to the Europa League. Everybody's going between 3 and 6 for Barcelona. We had 8 and 9s pretty much across the board for Atleti and Real Madrid. So let's go to the Europa League now. Athletic Club. Michael, start us off here.
Not going to be easy. I'm going to say that right now because AS Roma, I think we already played them in the league phase 1-1. That was when, AS Roma were absolute just shambolic of a institution. But now, Claudio Ranieri, he's got them balling out. And Dybala, you can never count out Dybala because that guy's just individual magic. Now, if Athletic Club win that, they could play Jose Mourinho in a quarterfinal. That's not going to be easy, even though Athletic Club have already played Fenerbahce and beat them. And now it's just a matter of who do they get in the semis. Could it be Real Sociedad? Could we get an all-Basque semi-final? I mean, that would hit like crack. Could it be Manchester United? Could it be Lyon? I mean, in some God's world, do we see FCSB make the semifinals? I went a 6.5 for Athletic Club. I think it's doable, but it's some tough opponents. Like Fenerbahce away, yeah, they beat them already. I think they got rejuvenated. They signed Skriniar and those sort of players, and you can never count out Jose Mourinho in European knockout competitions. I'm just a little bit intrigued to see who do Athletic Club maybe get in the semifinals. I think Lyon, they can beat them. They really want to avoid Sociedad. I think that's the team they really want to avoid because, you know, those Basque derbies, there's tension. They are familiar with each other. I think if it was Man United, I think Athletic Club would take that all day, every day. They would have one foot into the
4-1
final.
aggregate. Yeah.
4-1 aggregate. And they would absolutely ball them out. I mean, Nico Williams against who? Lenny Yoro, Mazrui. I mean, Nico Williams should cook him. Let's be honest. Or Inaki against who is on the other side for Manchester United. Delit. I mean, come on, Inaki. You better cook there. So, yeah, 6.5. I think it's a somewhat tough road, but they can do it. This is everything for Athletic Club. They're not in the Copa del Rey. They should be fine getting top 4. Looks like 5 teams from Spain will make the Champions League. This is it. This is your bread and butter. All the eggs are into the Europa League basket. Make it to the final at home and see if you can win it.
Okay. I win 8 out of 10.
Oh,
I think it's
really?
pretty tough.
I went 7.
Which is funny because I agree with all of your reasoning. I think I just, in my factoring, made it more difficult. Like, I think that Fenerbahce is difficult of a fixture. It's kind of funny because your home field advantage is absolute beast mode, but Turkey away is also kind of a disaster. But then on the flip side, you beat Galatasaray already in the group stage. Then you had that weird game against Beşiktaş. We can chalk that off as Ollie tax. That's fine. But then it's the manager as well. It's like there is still, I don't care what anybody says, there's still a fear of facing a Jose Mourinho side in European competition. It's still scary. I don't care if he was managing FC Basel. You would still be like, oh God, what's he going to do? Like, what new tactic is he going to bust out? He's going to go with the 6-2-3, something up top. Formation we've never seen this before.
6-2-3. A new version of Park in the Bus. Holy shit.
Bro, better
Super keeper.
at the 6-2-3, dude.
I know disrespect to Rangers, but I think everybody would pick Fenerbahce in that matchup against Rangers. Rangers have been, Rangers have been up.
That's the thing is Turkish clubs are weird, man. Like,
they're so
weird. In European competitions. You can't count on them. Roma's tough as hell. You got on the same side of the bracket as Real Sociedad. You probably would have been okay with Spurs on this side of the bracket. They did avoid Lazio, who I think are going to be a tough team as well. That's why I'm going with an 8 overall. Jose, what you got? Did you say your grade?
7.
Me too.
7 was mine. The only other points I'll make, I think Michael did a great job just summarizing that. I think 2 big things that stick out. I wanted to go a little bit lower because I think even at the beginning of the competition, I expected Bilbao to be there, right? A high seed in the knockout rounds, trying to find a way to win this competition by the end. So I was thinking like maybe something like 6, but I think 7 is accurate. For 2 big hesitations I have on my side would be 1, just a lack of experience in Europe. You have to look at that and always consider it. It doesn't matter if playing Europa League, Conference League, Champions League. Experience in the knockout rounds is super important. But Michael's right. They're not competing for much else outside of this right now. So you have to put all your eggs in this one basket. And then, bro, being a Barcelona fan myself, Valverde as the manager, right? I mean, does he see ghosts in these European knockout rounds? He doesn't have a very friendly record. On top of that, just some of the most horrific moments you could experience as a manager in the knockout rounds. And
wait, so, Jose, did the Roma debacle happen under Valverde when it was Manolas?
100%. Yep. Jesus. It was Roma and then Anfield. And so when you think about this, right, just not being able to close out these ties, it almost doesn't even matter what Bilbao does in the first leg. It will be about that second leg and how ready they are for that. So the combination of those 2, very interesting to watch moving forward.
It'll be cool to see the spotlight effect, right? Because you're FC Barcelona, like you cannot allow a remontada against Roma or Liverpool or anything like that. But now you're at the Athletic Club. We obviously have a lot of respect for them, covering La Liga and watching the league so often. But I don't know if the same pressure is going to be there where Valverde feels like he can't breathe because he's like, oh my God, like they can come back on us. Everybody's got Barcelona circled on the calendar from the start of the season. I don't know if Bilbao have that. It's kind of a little more moving in the shadows type thing. But if Athletic Club are up 3-0 or something on aggregate and they go on to lose the tie, we have to have an emergency Valverde podcast.
Seriously, bro.
For that. That'll be insane. What about Sociedad? Andre, why don't you start us here? What do you have for Sociedad?
I went a little lower, so I went 6. Again, same side of the bracket, so it's going to be tough either way. But when looking at Man United, honestly, the form that they're in, we don't even have to talk about that. Like that across 2 ties, yeah, it's United and it's Old Trafford, but they should advance. So if they do, and I'm giving them like a 75 to 80% chance of advancing, that Lyon matchup is going to be pretty difficult. But again, it's not Jose Mourinho, right? I'm really looking forward to a Basque derby across 2 legs in the semifinal. So comparing them both in the same side of the bracket, I went Atleti 7, and then Real Sociedad 6. So
wow.
just because I think playing United right now, like if Athletic, I mean, you can tell me, Michael, right now, who'd you rather play, right? If you like swap those matchups, I feel like United is pretty tasty right now.
100%.
Right?
United are dog shit right now. Come on.
I kind of disagree though with like the overall path. I'll be honest. Like I actually think because of who Sociedad are, it's actually a little bit more difficult. I could be totally wrong about this. It's more about who Sociedad are than it is like who they're playing. I don't know why, bro. In La Liga, they're just games they fucking troll. Like they just troll. Like I don't know what it is. If it's the lack of finishing from guys like Oscarson, which again, still trying to kind of figure out La Liga. In Europe, maybe it's going to be a little bit different. I think the only reason Bilbao wants to play Sociedad less is because it's a derby, right? If you can avoid that and just go into that game, even against an English giant like United, I don't think they're scared of that. They deal with that in La Liga every season, right? With the big 3 they have to play. So I don't know. For me, Sociedad are not the team Bilbao is, and on the same bracket will have relatively the same path outside of, again, whether or not they avoid Jose Mourinho. I think the United game will be tough for them, the tie. I actually think it will be somewhat difficult. I don't think United's bad. Don't get me wrong. Amorim is trying his hardest to force feed these kids at United the system that he wants them to play so badly. And it's showing. But I don't know if Sociedad are so put together and a complete version of themselves that in 2 legs they're going to walk out of this unscathed. I really don't think it's that straightforward. So for me, actually, I'm slightly higher. They're about closer to an 8 for me.
Yeah, I got 7.5. The one thing about Sociedad is they're complete frauds in Europe. I mean, they're fraudulent. They're like Doc Rivers in the NBA playoffs. Other than that Celtics run he had. They're Doc Rivers. When they get a lead or they have some sort of advantage, like you're playing Manchester United, you have to get this right if you're Sociedad. You have to. I don't think they've won a knockout tie in Europe since like the 70s or 80s. I could be wrong. Some Sociedad fan can let us know. But it's been a long time. I remember a couple of years ago they played round of 16 against Inter after they won their group or some. No, I think it was Benfica. Might have been Benfica or Porto. They lost that tie. So Sociedad, this is now, you have to put respect on La Liga. I'm sorry. You cannot lose to the worst Manchester United team in decades. Probably since Winston Churchill was in charge of England. This is it. So if you are Real Sociedad, put some respect and put some respect on the badge. The Kubos, the Zubamendis, Orizabals, Aguer. I'm looking at all you guys. If you lose this tie, beyond Rainforest Cafe FC, beyond it, they have to win this tie. Now, you go up against Lyon or FCSB, could be difficult. We need, for the love of all football fans, and especially La Liga fans, we need an all-Basque semifinals. Mm-hmm. I don't think people would understand how insane that would be. The spotlight that region would get to the world audience, because obviously everybody would tune into Europa League football semifinals. They're like, oh my God, Basque Derby, what's cooking on here? Then they're going to realize these 2 cities are absolutely mental about football. So we just need it. One, because the podcast would be lit. And then I think I will lose my shit if somehow Athletic Club lose that semifinals. I did check, though. Sociedad have if they get past Manchester United, they have the home tie for the second leg. So they will have a home field advantage for both the quarterfinals and semifinals. But you got to get past Manchester United. I'm sorry. You cannot just lose to these frauds. They're garbage guys. If they had Diallo, correct, fair enough. Man United would be a tough opponent. Who? Rasmus Højlund. Rest my case.
Dude, if Aguirre does not pocket Højlund, I will be extremely disappointed.
He will. He
better
will,
like that.
Or
Yeah.
Kubo better cook Delit.
I'll tell you this too. That's what Michael's saying. Nobody wants to see, except for again the same English fans who believe the Premier League is hands down the best league in the world or in Europe, whatever the case may be. No one wants to see 12th place Spurs, no offense, Jack, against 15th place United in this final. I don't care who you are. Nobody wants to see that shit.
Right.
Like I would much rather see a Basque derby in the semifinal of this competition, and again putting another Spanish team in a European final, which has been a tradition for quite some, so many years now. So yeah, man, I agree with Michael wholeheartedly. I think this has to happen. So today I have to find a way.
Yeah, they have to. What's going to be interesting though is like we just know Sociedad from watching them. Like if they beat United by more than 2 or even 2 goals, I'll be kind of surprised because I just have zero faith they can run it up. As terrible as Man U are, it's Sociedad, man. Like they've been beaten 3-0 by fucking Getafe recently. So as bearish as I am on Man U, at the same time, am I betting a single dollar on Real Sociedad to not let me down? Absolutely not. They just got bodied by Real Betis last weekend too. I mean, they're not a good team. I'm sorry, they're not a good team. Manchester United are just very
worse.
Global. So they're worse, and they get way more press. But Sociedad, man, like if La Liga was the most popular league in the world, there'd be a lot of people pointing at them like, "How are you this
there?
ass?"
So Sociedad are like Tottenham in the Premier League this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a very fair shout. Like just well below what they should be on paper, and that should make Sociedad fans nervous for this opening tie against United. It really might be the battle of mid too, guys. This might not be the sexiest matchup in the Euro. In the
it's not going to be.
Yeah, it might be like a straight up like a 1-0 aggregate score, 2-0 aggregate score. Like, oh my god, that would suck. But
I think it will be. I don't think we're going to see goals here.
No clinical finishers on either side.
Really
I don't think.
Alguacil's going to play for Pens. I swear to God. Like it's going to be.
Probably.
It's going to be insane. He's going to show Man U way too much.
Watch La Liga, guys. Watch La Liga. Subscribe down below.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, we can't say we're not going to lie to the people. Some of these teams you probably shouldn't watch them, but watch Les Club. They're fun.
They are fun.
A team that's become fun. Real Betis. We'll go to the Conference League now. So they're going to be playing Vitória de Guimarães, a Portuguese club in the round of 16. I gave them a 5 out of 10 on the difficulty scale. I was tempted to go even lower, but I didn't want to be too much of a prisoner of the moment with Betis's new form all of a sudden where they like can score goals and don't look terrible. They should, though, minimum based on this group or this bracket, they got to make the semifinals. Am I tripping? Maybe even the final. No. Am I going too far?
Okay, finals a bit far because it's Fiorentina maybe in the semifinals.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine.
I love how we're not gassing up Betis too much on this because I don't want to. This is great. I love this part of the show. Go ahead.
I want to see how they do away to these obscure teams because they were terrible in the group stage in these circumstances. In La Liga, they're still relative home merchants. They obviously have gotten results recently away from home, but I just feel like this is what's going to happen. We're all going to bet on Betis and be like, oh my God, they've rediscovered themselves. And then they're going to get upset in the quarterfinals. And we're going to be like, God damn it. We should have never gassed these guys up to begin with.
Yeah, that's they look a lot better though. I mean, and again, bro, like United fans have to be absolutely just fuming at what Anthony's doing right now. Got another assist today. With the Isco goal against Getafe, but at the same time, the competition level they'll play in the Conference League at this point moving forward, not too far and away different from that. And so, I don't want to gas them up too much, but I had the same grade, Jack. I actually didn't want to put it lower than 5. I think, again, I've been kind of a Betis hater on this show up to this point. They haven't shown me anything, even with some of the former Barca talent they brought into this squad, just hasn't given them anything up front, a cutting edge. Anthony to Isco, that connection now looks like a little more viable, right? So Cucho also drew a penalty today, looked pretty good getting to the box and creating chances. So even Jimmy came on for like a 10-minute stint at the end of the game and looked pretty good. So they feel like now they have some kind of small momentum going into the rest of this competition. This could be their saving grace. Is this competition, right? Because I think in La Liga they've brought themselves back up. They're like in the top 6, top 7 now, and that's great. But they still have things to figure out. So this competition could give them a lot of positivity moving forward. They have to make the semifinals.
Yeah. The only thing that I'll add is I had them at 5 as well. And just looking at the other side of the bracket, I mean, as shit as Chelsea have been, you're avoiding that Chelsea team, right? Like in an ideal world, that would be the final, Betis to Chelsea. So yeah, you get that team out of the way, and hopefully you make it all the way. But I could also see Chelsea just fucking bottling it. You know what I mean? So,
bro, who wins that final? Let's just pretend that's what it comes down to. Chelsea and Betis. Who wins that final?
It's in Warsaw, I think, the final, if I'm not mistaken.
So neutral grounds.
Dude, if Betis win that, Chelsea are a banter club.
I'll never let anybody live that down.
No, I'm sorry. If we see Anthony lift the European competition, I'm gonna.
Bro, oh my God.
Can you imagine?
He's fine. If he does, he's fine a way to stay. There's no way he goes back to England for that. No.
Yeah, no way. I went a 6, guys. I just think it's just something about Betis. They don't do very well in European competitions either. I think in like the last decade, I think they had that one tie against Sevilla, and that's about it where they looked competitive in knockout stages. Betis are not a good team. Now look, it is Vitória de Guimarães. They did pretty well in the league phase, but they've also had a very difficult season. I think they've gone through 3 or 4 different managers, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, they got their manager stolen by Sporting after Amorim left. So Vitória are going through the mud. Then you're playing either Cercle Brugge, who, Jack, they got Alaminda from Ecuador, pretty good player. And then it's Jagiellonia. I'm trying to pronounce it as my best with my Polish roots. Now, that could be difficult because it is Poland and it's a very hostile environment. Cold, very cold. And sometimes when you go from the hot and the cold, look at Anthony gave like a comment earlier this week, like, I'm enjoying my football because it's sunny here. Hey, sometimes for these Brazilians and South Americans, it's a vital thing for them. But then the semifinal could be Fiorentina, and Fiorentina are balling out. Now, they did lose today, and they do. Moise Kean, hopefully he's okay because he went down with a head injury. So if they're losing Moise Kean, Fiorentina could be down one of their star players. That could help Betis. But Betis just got to make it to the semifinals. If they lose to the semifinals and lose to Fiorentina, fair enough. Then I can say you've had a decent campaign. But if you lose to Cercle Brugge, Vitória de Guimarães, Jagiellonia, massive L in La Liga, and that would be a disgrace.
Yeah.
So yeah, 6 for me.
Okay, more disgraceful. Vitória beat Real Betis or Benfica beat Barcelona?
Ooh.
Oh, I would still go with Vitória beating Betis.
Yeah. I would say that.
Yeah.
And again,
Benfica got a heritage.
They do, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
let's not completely slight Benfica. Like, they do have a heritage in the competition. And also at the same time, bro, I'll just admire Benfica's ability to constantly pump out these attackers that no one's fucking heard of before and make them so relevant they're going to sell them for 80 to 90 million here like a year.
Yeah, thanks.
Fabrice is the latest guy in a cycle of attackers, bro. It's actually kind of insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the Vitória.
Would it be more embarrassing if they lose to Vitória de Guimarães or the opponents in the next round?
Probably the opponents in the next round.
Yeah.
I mean, Cercle Brugge, they have some good players. They just signed a young Mexican player too, actually. But
oh yeah, they did.
Do they?
I know.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know.
No, I think it would be more embarrassing if they lost to the Cercle Brugge or Jagiellonia team. I'm sorry.
I think so. I think, just like Michael said, if they go out to Fiorentina, it is what it is. But I mean, look, even in the playoff tie, right? I mean, again, this is the version of Betis we're going to see. Thank God on the road at Ghent, they went as hard as they did, back 3 goals, because at home, all they could show for the game was a red card in the whatever minute it was. Yeah. It was late in the game.
They did rotate their lineup a lot. I did see.
Yeah. And maybe the aggregate score plays into that, right? The first leg was closer. You know, it's a little bit different story. But I still think we'll get, you know, like that back and forth version of Betis we've seen all season.
Curious if they can stop anybody with a good attack, which will probably be Fiorentina. Will be the first team that they have to
if they're healthy.
Because they're beat. If they're healthy, yeah. Without Moise Kean.
Yeah.
I mean, Betis. It's still probably 50-50 without him. I'll say that. Maybe it's disrespectful. Drag me in the comments. Last question. We've seen the entire draw for all La Liga sides now in the Champions League, Europa Conference League. Who is more likely to make the final?
Barcelona.
Yeah. Heavy favorites. Real Madrid will, I'm sure, find a way to Real Madrid their way all the way right to the fucking final, like they always do. In this competition, like I just never rule it out anymore, bro. I just got to this point in my life watching this for 30 plus years. They're gonna fucking find a way, bro. Like they just will. But at the same time, they will have a much more difficult path. So yeah, it is Barca.
Athletic Club second. Or Betis second.
I would go Betis.
I still go Betis, dude. It's the Conference League.
I don't know. I felt really good about Bilbao. Michael, did we not feel really good about Bilbao going into this European?
I'm really worried about AS Roma. I can't lie. I think that's a tough matchup, especially with because they're basically, I checked, they're resting their players for Serie A and they're going full tilt with the Europa League.
I just
think if I dare see Smordov dunk on Athletic Club, I'm disowning Jack. By the way.
Jesus Christ. What a glorious day. That would be quite conflicting, actually.
He started for them. He started for AS Roma. I mean, Dogbek, who was top goal scorer in La Liga last season, he's not even on the starting 11. So,
yeah.
It's crazy.
Smordov might dunk Athletic Club. Oh, my God.
Did he have like 30+ goals in La Liga last season, too? It wasn't like just a random.
It was an insane amount, yeah.
Now, to be fair, that could have been his like Dominic Solanke type of season. But at the end of the day, I still feel like Roma has pieces. Don't get me wrong. I just felt like it was written in the stars this season for Bilbao. For the final and where it's at.
Oh, no, they should make the final still, though.
Yeah, that's how I feel. But again, the Betis shout is still like yeah, they're probably the second favorite of all La Liga teams. It's close.
Can y'all imagine if Real Betis wins the Conference League and no other La Liga side makes the final?
That would be fucking insane.
We're all getting dragged. We're all getting dragged.
Yeah, we might be
getting dragged
at that point.
La
Liga. I feel like, yeah. There's been a lot of hate flowing.
As long as they beat Chelsea in the final, it could still maybe be seen as a minor dub for La Liga, but anything else,
100%.
You know what though? Worth it. If they beat Chelsea in the final, bro, bring it.
Worth it.
Bring all of it. All of it.
Anthony lifting the trophy like FIFA career mode.
All Twitter is going to be on fire that day.
Fuck around and get me a Betis skin, bro. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I might have to get a Betis skin. If they win the Conference League, I'm getting a Betis skin.
Yeah, bro. If they beat Chelsea, I might be locked.
We might all have to get Betis skins at that point. It's an apology.
With the Conference League badge here as well.
Yeah, dude. Let's go,
bro. Oh my god, that'd be a
I'll
great
get it to
episode.
show someone.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, shit. Okay, guys. Well, that is our breakdown of the paths to the final in all three European competitions for the La Liga sides. We're going to be following this competition, all three of them, up until the final. So hit subscribe for that. And also, so you don't miss the other La Liga content here on Lengua de la Liga, follow me and my co-host on social media. Link down below in the description. We'll see you guys in the next one.